everybody. It's Stacy Simpson with Pageantrynow. I hope everybody is having a great Friday. Welcome to February. Can you believe it? It's February 2019. But we're going to start off the great series of new interviews that are going to be happening in February. So look forward to us. For those of you who have not been familiar with Pageantrynow or have never seen our shows or our videos, we're all about positive pageantry and being able to highlight the great things that pageant title holders are doing around the world, trying to change their countries and their communities using a crown or a sash. A lot of times you'll see what happens at a pageant the day before. You'll see, toddlers and tiaras. Sorry. But that's not necessarily what pageants are all about, and we try to get to the story behind the who, what, where, when, and why of why a title holder gets involved and what they're going to continue to do and where they're going. So with that tonight, I'm super excited. We have the first title holder for the Miss World competition coming on. She's competing for the title. Hey Fatima, how are you? She's going to be competing for the title of Miss World Canada. So for those of you that are not familiar with the world system, you'll be able to hear about it, hear about what the competition is and how it's different than maybe any of the pageant systems you've ever heard of before. I'm super excited because it's an opportunity for us to be able to shed some light on it, because here in the United States we typically hear about Miss America or Miss Universe or Miss USA, and the Miss World competition is the big one after Miss Universe or next to Miss Universe as well, and it's totally a different concept. So we're super excited. So I'm hoping that we will be able to see her when she pops in just a second. And all of a sudden our viewers went up, so hopefully everybody is seeing it. If you haven't, please make sure that you like our Facebook page. Please make sure that you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are constantly adding new videos. We do live in-person interviews, sometimes at pageants. We do these videos Friday nights. And then we're starting to do them on Tuesday nights, and then we're trying to start a new series on Wednesdays as well. So you'll get lots of new coverage and meet different title holders. I mean, sometimes you never know who might pop in here and be able to have an interview with us. So make sure that you get the announcements, and when you subscribe, just add that little ring button so that you get the announcement that we're on. So, all right, you guys ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ding. All right, so I will let you introduce yourself. Tell us your name and your title and the title you're vying for.
So my name is Courtney Jones. I'm from Torbay, Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm the current Miss Newfoundland and Labrador World 2019, and I'm hoping to be the next Miss World Canada.
Woo-woo. Okay, I'm going to ask you 3 questions I don't usually ask right away, but number 1, my husband said, how do you get that title on a sash and does it fit?
It actually does fit, so it goes like all the way down to the end of the sash, as you can see, like it's at the very end.
So, and is that like an area in Canada, or is that like a province, or?
Yeah, so Newfoundland and Labrador is a province in Canada.
Number 2, are you super cold, like right now because of the Arctic chill?
It is going to be about minus 23 degrees Celsius tonight with the wind chill. It's cold.
Whoa,
Yep.
Celsius?
Yes,
Are
Celsius.
you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever leave the house? What is that called?
I was out today, actually. You get used to it.
I'm from Detroit, and I don't ever remember. Oh my gosh, that is so cold.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Okay. And now my Canadian Detroit accent's going to come out the more I talk to you. So I'm sorry. All right. And so the official question that I always ask everybody is, do you like frogs? Why or why not?
Do I like frogs?
Yeah.
I do like frogs. I think they're very cute.
Okay. Why? Why do you like them being cute?
Because they're little green monsters and they eat flies, and I'm not a fan of flies or mosquitoes, and they prey on them, so I'm very appreciative of frogs.
Awesome. The reason I ask is it's kind of like a question that most people don't expect to be asked, and usually there's some kind of story that someone comes out with and they go, like you just said, I like them because I don't like mosquitoes and I don't like flies, and they get rid of them. So there you go. All right, awesome. So I know most of my viewers don't know a whole lot about the Miss World system. So would you be kind enough to tell us the areas of competition that you're going to have competing for the title of Miss World Canada? And then if it's similar to what happens at Miss World as well.
So Miss World Canada is like the preliminary competition to go to Miss World. So at Miss World Canada, they actually crowned three title holders. They crown Miss World Canada, Miss Supranational Canada, and Miss Intercontinental Canada. So those are like the top three.
Yes.
And the areas of competition, so there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we fundraise for children for the Children's Wish Foundation. We compete in swimsuits and evening wear. We also are judged on social media. There's an interview component as well. And there's an overall like behavior component, like how you present yourself throughout the week of competition. There's fitness. There's all of those things. So it is a lot of work to prepare for it, but it's also really fun getting ready for it.
Okay, so now I know, and I know that for Supernatural and what's you're doing Intercontinental as well, they still have a swimsuit portion of the pageant.
Yes.
But Miss World no longer does. Now they have the fitness competition and then the athletic competition. So can you tell us what you know about that, if you know how that works?
Right. So for Miss World Canada, they actually do both. So they'll do a swimsuit component and a fitness component. So I suppose it's to meet the requirements for all
Right,
three of the international competitions.
right. Awesome. That's so cool. All right,
Yeah.
except it's going to be really cold and like, well, I hope the pageant's not right away because that would be bad at 23 degrees below Celsius.
Yeah, no, so Miss World Canada actually doesn't take place until July. So we're
Oh,
still a
okay,
few months
perfect.
out, but
Awesome. Okay, fantastic. All right, and Fatima, who's my co-host, she says that how are you preparing yourself for Miss World Canada?
so I am in the process of currently looking for sponsors. That's one thing that is absolutely like necessary. I think getting sponsors is a great way to promote local businesses. I have also been going to the gym because that's something that you should be doing anyways, but especially if
Right,
you're going to be competing in swimsuit and fitness in a pageant. I've been practicing interview questions. I forgot to mention earlier, there's also an optional talent portion. So I've been working on some pieces for piano for the talent portion as well. And I've been fundraising for Children's Wish. So it's been really busy, but it's been really fun.
fantastic. What has been your favorite appearance so far?
Oh gosh, now that is a tough question. I think my favorite so far was I went to an elementary school. It was actually my old elementary school, and I got to read in English and French to like the little grade one students, and they loved it. They even made me like little handmade bookmarks. It was so fun, and they were so cute.
Oh, that's so adorable. Isn't that nice when you're able to go back to the places that you've been and to be able to kind of make a footprint that's an adult footprint side by side from where you were. I love that. So,
Yeah, it was amazing.
all right. So, what made you decide to get into competing in a pageant?
So originally, so I've been competing in pageants now since I was about 15 years old. And so originally I competed in Miss Teen Newfoundland and Labrador, and it just popped up on like my Facebook one day and I was like, wow, that looks really cool. That looks like a lot of fun. So I did it. I competed and I had the time of my life and I was like, I want to keep doing this. So I went back every year until I aged out. I
Wow.
did. I went back every year and then I started competing in Miss Newfoundland and I had so much fun and I fell in love with the pageant system. So I keep going back. I can't get away from it.
Isn't it? It's kind of addicting. I always tell everybody, they're like, why do you keep doing this at your age? And I'm like, I do it. I love it. I love the competition part of it. I love evening gown. And it's funny because I'm not a pageant person regularly. So if you saw me 15 minutes ago, my hair would not have been done and my makeup wouldn't have been on, and that's pretty much the way I roll. Uh, so, but it's nice for me to kind of step out of that other side of my life and go into, I don't want to say glamorous because I love the community service. That's super important to me to be able to make a difference. But I like, feeling like a, I don't want to say pretty princess, but I do. I feel like For you, what is it that makes you want to keep doing it?
So there's a lot of things that make me keep wanting to do it. So one, I think, is especially when it comes to national pageants, you get to meet so many amazing young women from right across your country. Oh, okay, we're back. Okay, I think we might have disconnected for a minute
Yeah.
there. But yeah, so as I was saying, like you get to meet like incredible young women from across the country and you get to kind of follow them over the years too because you make friends with them. So you get to keep up with them on social media and see where they kind of go after they leave pageantry. The other thing is it's absolutely a confidence booster. A lot of people think that maybe it wouldn't
This
be
is very
because
true.
maybe you'd be comparing yourself to other girls, but that's part of what makes it a confidence booster because you're like, wow, I'm here with them, so that's really cool. So it's absolutely made me grow so much as a person.
Awesome. How does I know your dad followed us on Facebook, and I was kind of wondering, like, it's nice to have your dad supporting you and following you, but
Hmm.
I was wondering, like, how do your parents feel about this? Like, what do they think when you said, "Hey, I want to do a teen pageant"? Did they go, what?" Or were they super supportive?
Actually, like they were really supportive when I first told my mom that I wanted to do when I wanted to do Miss Teen Newfoundland. She was like, "Okay, let's do
Awesome.
it." And I was like, "Wow, okay, great." And then she was super proud of me when I got chosen to go to Miss Teen Canada. Like she was super excited, and she's been like my whole family's been really supportive of me. Actually, they've helped me fundraise, they've helped me plan events. My mom always goes dress shopping with me. They're great.
Oh, that's so awesome. See,
Hmm.
that's like having, I think that even sometimes becomes part of it too, is that when you've got that bonding situation, it becomes something you
Hmm.
really enjoy. So, all right. So, Fatima said, I know you said you competed as a teen. Have you competed in other pageant systems?
Yeah, so like I said, I competed in Miss Teen Newfoundland and Labrador. I competed at Miss Teen Canada, and I've competed in the local Miss Newfoundland and Labrador pageant as well.
Okay, awesome. All right, so there is an actual a pageant for Miss Newfoundland and Labrador to win the title, because I know sometimes in nationals they have uh, at large titles. So you actually competed for this title that you have right now.
So the one that I have right now, I didn't compete for. It's a separate organization. The Miss
Got it.
Newfoundland and Labrador pageant is separate. So Tammy Snook is the current Miss Newfoundland and Labrador.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Now I know this is a silly question, but in Newfoundland and Labrador, do they have Newfoundlands and Labradors?
There's Newfoundlanders and Labradorians.
That's awesome. All right. And what is it that's your goal? So let's say you win Miss World Canada. What are your plans to do with the title?
So my ultimate goal as Miss World Canada is to promote women's rights and be an advocate and a role model for women. I think as somebody like I pursued a degree in neuroscience, which a lot of people are like, well, you did
Whoa.
neuroscience. So I want to show women that they can do absolutely anything that they want to do. And I'm going from neuroscience to law school. So it's an advocacy thing for me. I just
What?
yeah. I know.
Wait. How do you go from neuroscience to law school? That's like two different hemispheres of the brain. Like
Yeah.
where does that come from?
So I get asked that question a lot, and it's because about 3 years into university, I completely fell in love with advocacy work and I found feminism. And I just I think that law is more suited to the kind of work that I eventually want to be able to do. So I finished my neuroscience degree. I'm starting law school in September, so I'm going to pursue that route.
And then will you go, like, after you get your jurisprudence, will you go become a doctor after that? I mean, why not? Why not? Just go for it all.
I think law might be the end of the road for me.
Gotcha. Okay. Uh, and I just thought it was something that you mentioned, that you got into feminism. So there
Mhm.
are plenty of people out there that say that pageantry is unfeministic. So how do you combat? Have you heard that statement? And how do you answer that?
So actually, it's funny that you ask this because this is one of the questions that the national director of Miss World Canada asked me when I told her during my interview that I was a feminist. She asked me the same question.
Oh,
And
well, there you go.
and I do get asked, and I asked her if I could be upfront and honest, so I'll ask you the same thing. Can I be upfront and honest?
Absolutely, as long as there's no
So
foul words. So,
So when when I was competing in Miss Teen Newfoundland and Labrador, it was fun, it was great. But I was in a really, really bad relationship with a boy. And it was very unhealthy and it was, emotionally abusive. It was bad. And I got selected to go to Miss Teen Canada, and going to that pageant is what gave me the confidence to get out of it. And it told me that I deserved better. And I left. After I competed at Miss Teen Canada, I came home and I broke up with him. I was like, you know what? I deserve better than this. So it empowered me and gave me the confidence to say, you know what? This isn't okay. And I left, and ever since I've been like, you know what, pageants are actually empowering. I know people think, oh well, you get up there and you walk around in a swimsuit, but it's so much more than that. You have to be such a well-rounded person, and you have to be an advocate in your community, and there's so much more than just wearing that swimsuit, which is also kind of what gives you the confidence, to be honest. So
yeah,
yeah.
no, I absolutely agree. I have a similar story. Like I was in a very abusive relationship from the time I was 14 until I was 19, which my last um, teen competition, I competed for the title of Miss Florida Teen USA, and that pageant really made me realize I'm better than this. I don't need to be treated this way. I don't need to be isolating myself. I don't have any friends. I didn't have anyone in the audience because he had scared everybody away. And it was shortly thereafter that, I mean, it wasn't right away, but it was shortly thereafter that I just went, this is crazy. I just can't keep doing this. This isn't worth it. And
Hmm.
it's quite fulfilling to finally get to that place where you go, you know what, I'm better than this. I'm good enough. So I'm gonna break free and change the world. So
Absolutely. So we kind of had similar experiences
yeah,
then.
yeah.
Hmm.
No, that's great. And I think that's the one thing about pageants is that we don't get enough of hearing about those transformative stories and the reasons that people continue to do it and the growth that goes on. And again, you hear about the swimsuits, but it's really not that. It's really about becoming a well-rounded person, like you said, and I think that's awesome that you're having that experience and enjoying it and finding that it's fulfilling. So that's super important and leading your life. So now I know that with the Miss World competition, it's totally unlike anything else that probably anybody has ever seen, at least here I know in the States, on TV. So there is the talent portion, there's the fitness portion. You guys work together as a team and you're divided into teams, and then there are many winners that are picked from that, as well as evening gown and interviews. Super important. Platform is super important. Social media is super important. So if you were to win,
Hmm.
okay, this is probably not a great question, but so is the ultimate goal for world, or would you be great with supernatural, or would you be great with intercontinental? What does your heart tell you?
I would be happy just to make top 20. So
See,
I
that's
have,
good though.
yeah.
That's good to have goals, but
Hmm.
okay, but there's a part of your brain that's constantly going, this is what I want. So
Hmm.
what do you think is the one that you really want?
If I got to pick, I mean, I would love to go to Miss World, but I think the opportunity to go to any international pageant is a huge thing for me, and I'm not expecting it. I'm going in this with the goal of making top 20. If I go further than that, then I will be beyond proud. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's good. Like I always tell everybody, the piece of jewelry on your head isn't what makes you a queen. It's what's in your
Hmm.
heart. So Fatima asked, "What's your platform?" And I assume that is being able to be an advocate for women. So just tell me a little bit more about that and why you chose that.
So I chose that because I started volunteering with women's organizations in my second year of university. So I volunteered on campus at my Women's Resource Center. I volunteered as a crisis line volunteer on this with the Provincial Sexual Assault Center. I'm on the board of Planned Parenthood now. It's just something that
Wow.
it's something I've grown to really, really care about, and it's something that has been talked about a lot more in the media lately, but it's something that women are often silenced about when it comes to domestic and sexual violence. We're often told that somehow it's our fault, which it isn't.
Right.
And I just, I just want women to know that they're not alone in these experiences, and there's somebody out there who will listen, and who cares.
So you've worked like the phone banks and being able to be there if somebody calls in and they're having an issue, correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so in a situation like that, how do you, especially for women that might be watching or may watch this,
Hmm.
what is the best case or best situation when if they're being abused or if they're being physically or sexually or even emotionally,
Hmm.
what is the best thing for them to do in that situation if they finally feel like they have to break free?
I mean, that's tough to say, because as somebody who volunteered on a crisis line, we don't like to tell women what they should or shouldn't do. They should
Right?
do whatever they want to do in that situation. If they want to leave and they feel it's safe to do so, then, absolutely put that plan in place to get yourself out of that situation. There's crisis lines available to call for support. If they want to report, then there's resources to provide them with help doing that. It's entirely up to them. But also reporting sexual violence especially can be super traumatic, because you have to go into all the detail about what happened to you, and that can be really, really tough too. So, there's no obligation for women to report. Women should do whatever they feel is right for them at the time.
Okay. I just know that sometimes it's really hard to make that first step, and sometimes just
Hmm.
reaching out to somebody and calling a helpline is clearly one of those moments where you realize there's a warning signal, something's not right, you don't feel
Hmm.
comfortable, you don't feel safe. So maybe later on when we post this or in the chat, if you can put maybe the phone number for the crisis line where you are, so that if anybody is in need or does need help, that they at least know that there's somebody there that can reach out to them, or that they can reach out to be able to get assistance, even if it's just someone to talk to. Because sometimes
Absolutely.
just talking to somebody instigates that need or that want to move forward, and to become safe, which I think is the biggest challenge. Because, like you said, women for a very long time were told, you don't talk about it, you don't say anything about it, and that's just the way things are. And now things are changing, and people are speaking more about their issues and speaking about what they've gone through, and I think that part of the healing process is being able to share their stories and be able to be be unashamed of it,
Hmm.
and to also be unafraid to say no, and to be an advocate for yourself. So thank you, we appreciate it. I wish there was more when I was younger. I mean, clearly it was a very long time ago, but I wish that there was that available to me when I needed it, because I know that when you're young, you want to do everything so everybody loves you, and then they're not really loving you. So
Hmm.
yeah. All right. So you've competed in several. You've had great times doing it. What's been the most memorable experience that you've had uh, being a title holder?
Um, the most memorable experience as a title holder. That's also kind of tough. I think I'm going to go back to reading the stories to the kids in the elementary
Good.
school. I mean, I had little girls come up to me after I read, and like they'd give me hugs, and one made a little bookmark and said, "I love you." And one of the kids, which was really, really funny, spoke up and said, "Did you come from Buckingham Palace?" Because I had the
Oh
crown and the
my gosh,
sash.
that's because of the crown one. Of course, in Canada, the queen is still, super important to everybody. So
Hmm.
that's awesome. So
It was cute.
now are you farther north? I know that you're a little bit farther east than we are, but I wasn't sure like how far, like if we were looking at it at Canada, which is ginormous, are
Mhm.
you West Coast or East Coast? Or East Coast or West
Oh,
Coast? Sorry.
we're the most eastern province in Canada.
Which is why you're an hour and a half ahead of us. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. And I was trying to figure out where the half hour came from, but I have no idea.
Actually, so that's a funny story. So when the time zones were divided, Newfoundland couldn't decide whether it wanted to be the an hour behind or an hour ahead, so they just went in the middle. Yeah.
Are you okay? There had to. I can't even imagine that. I can't believe I said something because I said to my husband, I'm like, an hour and a half, and he
Yep.
said, yeah, some of them are a half hour, and I said, I, I don't understand.
Yep. So they couldn't decide which time zone, so they made their own.
There you go. So that just messes with everybody. Awesome.
Yeah.
And if you were to travel around the world or travel anywhere in the world, where's the one place you would love to be able to go and visit as a title holder?
If I could go anywhere in the world, I think I would want to go to somewhere in Asia because I've never been to Asia. I've been to some European countries. I've been to the United States. I've been to like Southern America, like I've been to Mexico and stuff, and I've never ever had the opportunity to travel to an Asian country, so I think that would be really, really cool.
I agree with you. I when I was growing up, and when we went to Canada, I didn't even know it was another country. Like we crossed over a bridge and we were in Windsor, and I grew up watching the BBC, so I didn't know that that wasn't American. And we're the few American kids who grew up on Doctor Who, and my friends are like, "Did you ever see the show called Doctor Who?" And I went, yeah." So, all right. What advice, Fatima asked me a question. What is your advice to a young girl that would want to compete in a pageant?
My advice is to, if you want to do it, just do it. Just dive in head first and go for it. And to be yourself. Don't try to adhere to what you think is like a typical pageant girl, because the girls who often stand out the most and do the best in pageants are the ones who are authentic.
That is so true. That's great advice. And I absolutely agree with you. I think one my favorite title holders are the ones that aren't trying to answer the perfect questions, that aren't ashamed to be approachable and laugh and have a good time and be conversational, because at the end of the day, if you win this international title, you have to be able to be there and happy and getting along, and people have to be able to approach you easily, so, and everybody will stop you everywhere you go in the airport. So um oh, that's so cool. So if you win Miss World Canada, you're going to Thailand. Ooh, Thailand.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. So that works
Mhm.
out. Oh, awesome. I was going to ask if you guys knew where it was going to be yet, but now we know. So Miss World next year in December-ish will be will be held in Thailand. So that's awesome. I'm glad they let people know like early so that we can,
Mhm.
plan our travel arrangements. Fatima is the well, it was the director for Miss Cuba Intercontinental. So her delegate just came back from Miss Intercontinental, and she said she had an
Okay.
amazing time. So it is also a fantastic system to be involved with as well. So I think it's great that they do a triple crown. A lot of the countries are doing that now, where they do three or four titles, so that uh, the first the first person that wins isn't just the only winner. And I think that's a great way to add diversity as well to the system.
For sure.
So all right. So let me see. We've been on for a little bit, about a half an hour. Is there anything that you want to tell us about your journey so far, or about where you're going and what you plan to do with your title, or some fun fact that we haven't talked about?
Oh gosh, that's a tough
No
question.
pressure.
I find it always puts people on the spot when you're like, tell us something we don't know. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of people looking at me wouldn't guess this, but I'm a huge fan of 80s rock. Like, it is my genre. I love it. I know.
Okay. Now, do you like punk rock, or do you like hard rock? I mean, are you like Slayer or
Motley Crue to be specific, but
real? That Fatima
mhm.
goes woohoo! We are well. I mean, I was in high school in the 80s, but yeah, I totally like. So I'm more of like the Depeche Mode, and people go Depeche Mode. They're a 90s band. I'm like, no, they're not. Motley Crue. Okay, so why do you like Motley Crue?
I just love their music. I think it's super fun and it just sounds great.
No, so no Guns N' Roses or you
Oh, I love
Bon
them too.
Jovi. Okay, okay. Do you like Bon
All
Jovi or
those
no?
bands.
All those
I
bands.
like
Okay.
Bon Jovi.
Yeah. I know uh, when I was younger, like younger, that was he was huge, and I moved to Philadelphia in New Jersey, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, what if you meet John Bon Jovi?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a big city, and okay." So, oh, I was gonna ask you about being a pianist. Have you played piano all along, or have you been just doing the talent as something to be able to compete when you go on? Tell me a little bit more about that.
So I've
Bon
actually
Jovi.
been playing piano since I was about 5 years old. So I'm a classically trained pianist. I think the highest grade I've reached, I have my grade 8 Conservatory Canada, so I'm technically qualified to
Ooh.
teach. So
Okay, so what is your favorite uh, composer that's classical composer?
Chopin.
Of course, because it's piano. Totally.
Yeah.
Might as well. So there you go. Okay. And if you were to perhaps take music and interpret, let's say, 80s rock as a pianist, what would you do?
I would find sheet music online, like guitar tabs, and then I would figure out where those notes were on the piano, and then I'd throw in some chords with it.
I find though that with being a pianist, it's hard because it's hard to be. I know when I judge, it's hard to be animated. So how do you deal with that? Like to
I,
be a show person, like and show off your personality as well.
I think showing off your personality as a pianist is about playing the right music that reflects your personality and letting the music speak for you, because you can't be physically animated while you're playing because you have to be controlled while you're playing, but I think you let the music speak for you.
Right. So are you Suzuki or natural?
Natural.
And the reason I ask that is because I can tell when I'm judging when somebody's Suzuki trained as opposed to naturally trained because they have a different movement in their bodies.
Right.
Like if you're natural, you feel the music and I can see like in the shoulder movements and the breath movements.
Hmm.
Is it so okay, I'm telling you my judging style. Okay. These are good pointers for you later on. But you can tell like in the body movements that you feel it. And I think that's what makes people uh, be drawn in is when they feel the music with you and they see your personality as you're moving along with it. So I always love watching someone who moves. She's competing for Miss World Canada, Lando. He's a huge Miss Universe fan, so
Mm.
maybe Miss Universe. Well, and why would you? Why? I mean, honestly, would you do Miss Universe if you had the opportunity? I mean, if you could compete for Miss Universe Canada,
I think if the opportunity presented itself, I would take up that opportunity, but I think I just like to focus on one thing at a time.
one thing at a time. I agree. I agree. I
Hmm.
agree. Not to take away from anything else, but yeah, it's a great question. So thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. All right. Anything else you want to tell me?
I can't really think of anything else at the moment, to be honest with you. I don't know if you have any
Okay.
more questions for me.
I can keep the problem I have is I can keep talking, so I always try to keep it uh, as concise as I can, but it doesn't always happen that way.
Right.
When you give me 30 minutes of your time and I'll take an hour and a half, so that's why. Okay. Okay, so how can we get in touch with you? How can we follow your journey? How can we find out what happens in July?
So I have two Instagram accounts. There's Courtney Jones CA, and there's also Miss Newfoundland Labrador World, which is how I've been chatting with you. You can
Yeah,
also follow me on my Facebook page, which is Miss Newfoundland and Labrador World 2019. And I also have a YouTube channel with the same title, so you can follow me there as well.
awesome. And we will it takes usually about 24 to 48 hours before I can upload this to our or to our YouTube channel. But if you want me to either tag you in it or let you put it, I mean, find a way so you can upload it to your channel as well, so that you can say, look, I did this. Oh, what is her advocacy? Her advocacy is advocacy. Would you like to answer that, Courtney? What is your advocacy?
As in like my platform?
Yeah, Orlando's. Yeah, Orlando, where are you at? I don't know if you're in the States or if you're in the Philippines. But anyways, yes, we've already talked about it, but he asked, so.
So my platform is women's rights.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yay. All right. So, by the way, is this like your first like interview on Facebook? Have you done other interviews before? Or is this the first time you've done this?
This is my first.
Yay.
Yay!
Awesome. All right. So, what I would love to do later on, like after pageant, or even closer to pageant, if you want to come on and kind of tell us right before you go to pageant what's going on with you, I'd like to do like a recap and kind of see where you're at and see what's going on. Especially because I know that the social media is such an important part of this title. So if you would like to come back on, we would love to have you if you want to. So
That would be great. I'd love to.
well,
Awesome.
thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You were one of those ones where I was like, what is that title? And I thought, okay, I don't, and we had taken a break. So I know that we've been trying to put this together for about 2 months now. So I'm glad that we were able to meet and get you on. So yay, we get love. So thanks for being on. We really appreciate it. Tell your friends and your family. Thank you so much for watching. And we will upload it, like I said, to our YouTube page. When I do, I'll send you a copy of it as well. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Courtney. It's so nice to meet you. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. All right, everybody, that wraps up our show for Friday night. This Friday night, next Friday night, we do have another interview at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you join us. We'll have Crystal Bell on, and she's going to be talking about coaching and how she uses her coaching job and then her previous pageant experience. Courtney, much luck to you at Miss World Canada. I think you're going to do fantastically, and we love to hear the update about what's going on and what you've been able to do with women's rights and being able to be an advocate for women that are in need. That's wonderful, and we're so excited to have had you on the show, and we look forward to catching up with you later on. And for everybody else, like I said, if you haven't already, please make sure that you like us on Facebook, that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and then make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube, Pageantrynow. And make sure you open it up for notifications so you don't miss a show, because you never know who might be on. And I will give this little tidbit. We do have a powerhouse coming on February 22nd. So make sure you mark your calendars. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet. It's a surprise. So just know that it's another big name in pageantry. So I will see you guys very, very soon. And that's a wrap. Good night.